Hi, everyone in the lobby. If you can start taking your seats, we'd appreciate it. We'd really like to get this started on time.
Check, check, check. 1, 2, 2. 1, 2, check, 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 check. 1, 2, check, check, check. 1, 2, check, check. 1, 2, check, check, check.
everybody. Thank you guys for being here tonight. We are going to get started in 5 minutes. So if everybody can find a seat, we're going to get started in just 5 minutes. Thank you. everybody. Thank y'all for being here tonight. I'm Josie. I am the president of the Young Leadership Council. And several months ago, the YLC leadership had an idea for this forum. We discussed how important this mayoral race is going to be for our city and specifically for the young professionals that live here. We want to thank our partner organizations who helped to bring all of this together, including the Committee for a Better New Orleans, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Louisiana Young Professionals, G&O Inc. Next Gen Council, the New Orleans Chamber of Commerce, Urban League of Louisiana Young Professionals, Youth Empowerment Project, and the United Way of Southeast Louisiana Young Leaders United. We would especially like to thank the mayoral candidates for being here with us to listen and to share. We're so happy to have y'all. So this is how the evening is going to work. Each organization will ask one question, one predetermined question. Two randomly selected candidates are going to get 3 minutes to answer that question. So not everybody's going to answer each question due to some time constraints. Sydney Kastner, down here in the front row, has a countdown clock. She has a countdown clock, so you'll be able to see the time that you have left. And each candidate will get a warning sign when you have 1 minute left of the time that you're allotted. We'll move on to the next question at the 3-minute time mark. And at the very end, each candidate will get an additional 3 minutes to address anything that maybe you didn't get a question on, or anything that you just want to round up, or your final message to the group. The questions will be asked and were created by the organizations from around the city after researching topics that are most impactful for young professionals. And so we hope each of you in the audience are represented by one of our partner organizations or one of the questions that we have planned. And because of the way we planned this, and because of our time constraints and respecting the time of the candidates, we won't have any questions from the audience tonight. So to get started, we would like to give you each 2 minutes just to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about yourself. And so we are going to start with you, Senator Duplessis.
Good evening. I want to begin by thanking YLC just for existing and doing what you do, whether you serve on the board or if you're just a member as a young professional. I really appreciate and value your organization, and I'm grateful you put tonight's forum on. I am a product of this city. I was born and raised right here in Gentilly Woods, Punch-Train Park. I actually live right here in Central City, so tonight when I'm done, I'm going to walk home. I live right across the street right there. So it's great to be here at the Jazz Market. As I mentioned, I was born and raised in this town. My mother and father raised me and my 3 brothers to believe in hard work, respect for one another, and trying to make our community better. They were really, really dedicated to not just raising their sons, but to raising the community, not politically involved in the least. Did not grow up in a political family, but my mom worked for the post office her whole career. My dad was a teacher, and he taught children with special needs. I like to think that I follow after my dad because he had this empathy gene, which I think for me translated into me going into public service 20 years ago. 2006, Hurricane Katrina hit, well, in 5, but I went to City Hall in 2006 where I worked as chief of staff to a New Orleans city councilman. And that's what ultimately led to my journey in public service, which now I'm about to hit 20 years in. I've been a state senator for the past 3 years. I served in the State House of Representatives for the past 4 years, where I've fought for families, I've fought for communities, I've fought for economic development, and I've fought to make New Orleans a city where young professionals can call home, not just now, but also in the future. And I'm looking forward to answering your questions tonight and engaging in tonight's discussion and telling you why I want to be your next mayor. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Judge Hunter?
Good afternoon. Thanks for inviting me. You know, I was thinking about, because we're talking about young professionals, so you know what, I'm going to go back to when I was 19 years old. And when I decided what I wanted to do, or what I thought I wanted to do. So I'm at Loyola, 19 years old, sophomore year on board. And I go to the bookstore. So it's either going to be a lawyer or a doctor, one of the two. So I pick up a medical dictionary, open it up the middle, don't recognize any words. I pick up the Black Salt Dictionary, open it up in the middle, oh, I know this word, this word, this word. Law school it was. That's where it started. And after graduating from Loyola, I joined the New Orleans Police Department. And while on the New Orleans Police Department, I went to Loyal's Law School at night and graduated while on the New Orleans Police Department as well. 3 years and 10 months. And after graduating from law school, I quit the New Orleans Police Department and went to work for a neighborhood law firm, Caden Jones. And from there, I was able to start my legal career. 11 years as a lawyer, and fortunate enough to become a judge and serve on the criminal district court for 22 years. And while there, that's when my public service started. That's where it started. Serving the people who came before me, but also making sure that people received a fair trial, people were treated with respect, and justice was done. That's what I've done. And along the way, created some programs for kids so they can be inspired to be future lawyers and judges, to be artists. Because that's why we're up here. It's about serving people. It's about everyday people. It's like Side and Family Stone has this, and you know what that means? For me to stop. But Side and Family Stone has this record, everyday people. And that's what we have to be about, everyday people, including young people, everyday people.
Thank you. And Councilmember Marino.
Thank you. First, thank you to YLC for hosting this, but also for bringing so many organizations together tonight to come together for this particular forum. I'm Helena Moreno, and I'm running for mayor because I know that you deserve more. I know that you deserve a city that has city services that work for you. I know that you deserve a city that has opportunities for all its people. And unfortunately, that's just not where we are right now. And because it is so hard to live in the city of New Orleans right now, we have now become the 5th fastest shrinking area population-wise in the country. So unless you have a mayor who comes in and is able to, on day one, start taking us in a new direction, I just worry about the future of our city. So I'll tell you this, being on the city council, a couple years ago, being frustrated at the fact that I'd push one idea, one piece of legislation after the next to get us back on track and ultimately ignored and pushed to the side, I went to my husband and I said, honey, what if I ran for mayor? And thank God that my husband and my family all were incredibly supportive, because if they weren't, I could not be before you today. Because to be a good mayor, you have to be a 24/7 mayor. And you have to put the people of New Orleans first. And so yes, that is a sacrifice to family, but I believe that every single one of you is worth it. Because I believe in our city, and I believe in what our city can be. We can reach our full potential with the right leader, who has the right focus, who's ready to work with urgency to make the city work for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Councilmember Thomas.
First of all, thank you, President DeLon, and all of the other organizations that are participating in this forum. And when you look at the different organizations, and when you look at the people in the audience, that's really what represents the future of New Orleans. So it's really an honor to be here to not only talk to our present, but to talk to our future. The theme for my campaign is a city that works for everyone, right? And so one of the things that fueled me not only running for mayor, but getting back in office, the 14 years that I was out, I discovered a city that, if nothing else, it worked for a few folk who had access or political connections, or in many aspects, it didn't work at all. I saw disparaged communities in many cases where resources never touched. I saw public policy that never flipped or changed the social order or prioritized those communities. And so for me, it was motivation for me to say, hey, look, let's get back involved in not only just in public policy, but in leading people in this community. So as a mayor, the first thing you want to do is make sure everyone counts. So listening should be part of leadership, not just talking. We all have platforms, but listening. And then there's a team of action. I'm really tired of the fact that basic charter services cannot be delivered. You pay for 2-a-day garbage pickup, you're lucky if you get one. You got potholes in front of your street. that immediately after somebody fixes your street. And what I would like from you guys is to help me flip the social order. The social order, for far too long, especially here now, has been politics, business, and people are last. Every place where it works, where you may not even know or care who your mayor councilman is, the social order is people, business, and politics.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, so our first question will be asked by the Committee for a Better New Orleans, and it will be addressed to and answered by Senator DuPlessis and Judge Hunter. And so we will.
Good evening. My name's Nellie Katzen. I serve as Executive Director of the Committee for a Better New Orleans. Public trust in institutions is low everywhere. And in New Orleans, we have special problems around public trust. In fact, CBNO got to work with the current mayor's office, along with Bloomberg Philanthropies and Polco, to develop metrics for measuring public trust. And across 8 metrics of trust, more residents rated the city on a scale of 1 to 10, below 1 than above 5. The metrics that we were looking at were transparency, accountability, inclusivity, capability, empathy, reliability, helpfulness, and fairness. How will your administration build back trust with residents?
So Senator DuPlessis, you have 3 minutes to answer.
Excellent question, and I think it is at the heart of what we are missing in many ways right now in leadership. There's so much misinformation out there, people who are intentionally looking to deceive and mislead, but then there is also just a pure lack of communication. I'm going to go back to an example Councilman Thomas just gave. So when we lost the twice-a-week pickup, that was a big shift for many of us because it sort of came unexpectedly, and it came during a time of a lot of emotions, right? I believe that had there been just more communication as to why it happened and what's actually the reason, that could have helped a little bit from a trust from a trust standpoint. So I think New Orleanians are pretty practical in their expectations. They deserve more, but when you can't meet a certain need, you have to explain why. You have to explain what's going on to people, and it takes that level of communication in order to have that level of trust. People know that we have big challenges, and the people are in New Orleans because they want to be here. So let's be clear about that. People are here because they want to be here. Young professionals are here because young professionals want to be here. But how we go about communicating what the challenges are, what the goals are, and then how we go about achieving those goals is a big, big part of helping to restore trust. I think how public officials deal with one another is a big part of restoring that trust. I talk about when I worked at the city council 20 years ago. Look, this isn't the first time that city councils and mayors haven't agreed on issues. We didn't agree on issues then, but we still tried our best to work through challenges. So when the people see chaos and division constantly coming out of City Hall, that has an effect on the morale of the people in a city, because you're asking the question of what is actually coming out of there. Certainly not results, right? So moving past the finger-pointing type style of leadership and actually moving towards being about collaboration and innovation is what I'm going to be about. Doesn't matter who it's with. We're going to get in the room. We're going to try to figure out the solutions. And it's that style of leadership. It's really not so much about the ideas. Ideas matter. Let me be clear. But we've had a lot of smart people. But it's about leadership that's going to bring people together, work in a collaborative spirit, so the people of this city can have a sense of faith and confidence that the leaders are working urgently, and they're working compassionately, and they're putting people first and not political agendas first. So that's going to be my style of leadership, to try to restore trust in a lot of the trust that's lacking. Because anything below a 1, that's bad. That's really bad. And I was shocked when I read that, but not surprised. Well, actually, yes, it's pretty bad.
Thank you. Thank you. And Judge Hunter.
I can tell you, when I took the bench, former New Orleans police officer, everybody sort of assumed I was going to be pro-prosecution. And when they realized that I held the police accountable, and I made sure the DA followed the rules, but also made sure everyone followed the rules, that's where that trust factor came in. They trusted what I was going to do, my decisions. That's what it came down to. But also doing the work. But also treating the people who came before me as people. Not cases, not numbers, but as people. Because if we don't do the work, at the very least, if we don't do the work, you won't trust us. Or if we're doing work that we should not be doing, when you're not being fair, when you're not listening, when you're not reaching out to people, when you're not listening to people, you don't trust us. That's what it comes down to. You don't trust us because we're not doing the work. And we're not doing the work for the right reasons. I mean, look, you become a public official, elected official, because you want to serve. Not be served, but to serve. But you have to take 2 steps before the public takes 1 step toward you. That's what you have to do. That's about doing the work, doing it with a purpose, doing it for the right reason. And at the end of the day, it's all about doing the right thing. That's what it comes down to. And it's not hard. It's not difficult to do the right thing. You know, we can't be about the finger pointing, the who you know rather than what you know, the clicks, you know, kicking the can down the road, the same old, same old. We want change. We want change. But we want change that's going to make a difference in people's lives. And people are tired of the same old, same old. Whether it comes to the basic service, making sure your street's done the right way the first time, making sure you're safe, but you feel safe, you know, making sure that your garbage is picked up twice a week because we're still paying for same amount for twice a week, making sure that you all become part of whatever we do, and you all are at the table because you have the education, you have the experience. You should be at the table for everything, for every problem we have and everything we want to start new in New Orleans. We need you. You know why we need you? Because we would not be around forever. Somebody's got to take our places. And that's for you to do. And somebody has to take your place as well. That's what it comes down to. But at the end of the day, it's about doing the right thing.
Thank you. All right, so our next question will be asked by the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Louisiana Young Professionals, and this one will be for Councilmember Moreno and Councilmember Thomas.
Hello, welcome. My name is Alexandra with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I am the chair. For my question, I have, for many young professionals and hardworking Latino families, the dream of owning a home in New Orleans is slipping further away. Our dollars don't stretch like they used to, and rising housing costs are making it harder to build a stable future. In our culture, home isn't just a place. It's where generations gather, support one another, and create a legacy. As mayor, how will you help make home ownership more accessible so that our families can put down roots, build wealth, and stay connected in the city we love?
Councilmember Moreno.
Thank you. Affordability and home affordability is one of the biggest reasons why people are moving out of our city. It's such a problem that it's actually something that's pushing people out of the city of New Orleans. And, you know, Judge Hunter made a great point. He said, you know, people are sick of the same old, and the same old isn't making anything better. So we have to start looking at new solutions to what's now becoming, of course, old problems. And that means we have to take a look at cities who are doing things right. So if you take a look at, for example, the city of Austin and what they're doing with affordable housing and how they've really started to boost affordable housing in their city, those are the types of models that we have to lean towards. For example, what the city of Austin started doing is they really started leaning into utilizing their public properties and repurposing those for affordable housing. So in the city of New Orleans, for example, we have, I want to say, more than 370 empty parcels of land that the city owns, and we have more than 70 plus actual structures that the city owns. We should be doing all possible to put those city properties, which we are not using, into commerce, and the best utilization of those city properties is to make them into affordable housing. And so my plan to do that is actually to take those properties and move them over to the New Orleans Building Corporation. For those of you all who are not aware of the New Orleans Building Corporation, that's actually kind of a inside-outside type of entity that the city has that does a lot of major real estate deals for the city. It did the World Trade Center deal, it did the Harris Caesars deal, it does Spanish Plaza leases, etc. Turn these properties over to them so that they can start building these real estate deals with third parties and making sure that we finally get these properties back into commerce and do all possible to ensure that these are affordable housing models, affordable housing places where people can finally be able to build the number of units necessary in the city. But then we also need to take a look at some other items as well, like community land trusts, and what can we do to ensure that we can provide grants and loans for home ownership, for first-time home ownership. So to your point, where did she go? There you are. So to your point about making sure that we can have people start to build wealth by being first-time homeowners. But it's looking outside the box. We can't be doing the same old and expect things to change. We have to start looking for outside solutions, and I never mind borrowing good ideas from other places.
Councilmember Thomas.
I mean, this is a really important issue. I really appreciated our forum the other day, Senator Judge and Councilmember, with the realtors, and their questions about how do we work with that industry to create more opportunities. As someone who grew up in crowded spaces, lived in apartment complexes, lived with my grandparents, lived in a shelter after Betsy, lived and moved in with my aunt, who had 11 children, and there were 19 of us in a house. No one cherishes home ownership more than me. I tell folk the first time I ever saw anyone who had their own room was as playing on the New Orleans All-Star team, Senator, when we went to Philadelphia, and the family that I was staying with, they asked me which room I wanted to live in. And I was like, oh, wow. You actually get to have a guest room or your own room. So this is really a spiritual topic. But there's things that worked in the past. Let's take a look at reprogramming CBDG funds for soft seconds. Let's take a look at working with realtors or property owners to provide housing for teachers and law enforcement officials, right? And for public officials and public agencies. A lot of times you don't have to think out the box. You just got to make sure the people are in the box that you think about. And it's not knocking that point, but too often we look to break the Einstein code when there was a code that already worked somewhere else. And so let's begin to duplicate those things. Have we forgotten Desire Housing Corporation, Central City Housing, back of town? Have we forgotten who Lauren Anderson and Ross Pacho and Fred Johnson are? Let's bring those experts, let's bring those folk back to the table. My plan started off with 10,000 new homes because I thought that was a realistic number if we looked at forming the kind of partnerships, right? And so why is that realistic? And so guess what? A lot of people, that's why I love knowing the details and history of this city. We had 600,000 people who lived in this glorious place in the 60s. We only have 350-something thousand now. We got space, right? We got space for our Hispanic brothers and sisters, folk who want to move here. And it's not just about people who've always been here. The people who've adopted this place, man, y'all matter too, right? Because y'all came here because this place is special. Yeah, we need to think out of the box, in the box, work with the box, and take a look at everybody who has some expertise. I am smart enough to know I don't know everything. And when you're smart enough to know you don't know everything, my father used to say, you're in a good position to learn something.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, so our next question will be asked by GNO Inc.'s Next Gen Counsel for Senator Duplessis and Councilmember Marino.
Good evening, and thank you all for being here. My name is Lauren Mastio, and as Josie said, I'm here on behalf of GNO Inc.'s Next Gen Council. New Orleans cannot progress without growth. Growth depends on development, and development requires clear support from local leadership. How will you champion responsible, pro-growth development to support job creation, private investment, and economic competitiveness while managing regulatory barriers and opposition that often stalls progress?
Thank you, and thank you for your service with the Next Gen Council. So New Orleans is a special place because of our charm, because of our history, because of our architecture, our culture, and all of the things that we preserve and protect, and we should always preserve and protect those things. Tourism, hospitality has been the industry that has always been the golden goose. We've been challenged after the 80s oil bust to attract new industry, to be a town where companies are looking to relocate, not 15 jobs or 25 jobs, but 1,500 jobs, 3,000 jobs. And that's what we need to become. When I gave my announcement speech a few weeks ago when I decided to get in this race, I was very clear, and I remain very clear about my support for the terminal expansion project for the Port of New Orleans. This city was founded on the river, and we have to play up our strengths. And I think that this port expansion project, and I want to be clear, these are two different projects. This is not the grain project, which I have concerns and oppositions to at this time. I want to be clear, these are not the same projects. I'm talking about the port expansion project for for Violet St. Bernard, but the opportunity that it presents, not just for New Orleans, but especially New Orleans East, in true economic development around logistics, distribution, packaging, manufacturing, that we could really transform our economy and have new industries that will come to the city. That's what it's going to take. We obviously got to fix City Hall, right? I mean, City Hall has to be functional. Right now, if you go to City Hall, if you're a developer, you don't know how long it's going to take for you to get a permit. It's unsustainable, it's unworkable, and it's unacceptable. You shouldn't feel like you're a burden on someone because you don't want to be at City Hall to begin with, right? We got to remember to treat citizens like customers. So that type of leadership at City Hall, getting the house in order, from permitting, right, to just navigating the overall operations of City Hall, I think will send a signal to the business community that this is a place where you can invest, where this is a place where we are serious about economic development. And of course, infrastructure and dealing with the issues of crime. Those are the three elements. Functionality at City Hall, infrastructure, and crime will send a signal to the business community that we are ready and open for business. But I think leaning in at the port that's really our strength that we have to play up, and it will open the door for new industries, because that's what we're lacking right now.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilmember Marino.
Thank you. Well, it starts with really having a mayor who's going to be an ambassador and really say, the city of New Orleans is open for business. The city of New Orleans is ready for new opportunities, and the city of New Orleans is not going to be a hurdle for you wanting to do business in the city. And unfortunately, right now, we have a city hall that is a complete hurdle and barrier to development and to business. City Safety and Permits, the Department of Safety and Permits. That department alone, it takes weeks to just try to get an occupational license. So you're trying to start a business in New Orleans. And in Jefferson Parish, you can get it like that. And in the city of New Orleans, it takes forever. You can't even get a simple renovation to a new home and get the permits to get that done as fast as you can get them in Jefferson Parish. It takes weeks here. The city council has now become the concierge service for safety and permits because there's just no help in safety and permits, and that is such a hurdle and barrier to business. But at the same time, the Department of Economic Development within the city of New Orleans can be so much more than what it is right now. A lot of people don't know this, but the Department of Economic Development right now for the city of New Orleans only has 1.5 employees. 1.5. one executive director, and then one part-time employee. Do you think that that is enough to handle economic development and job opportunities throughout the city of New Orleans, including the main core where we're dealing with Bio District and over by the convention center where we're dealing with River District? Do you think that that's enough? It's not. So when I'm mayor, I'm excited to boost up the economic development department and make it into a department that is going to have more people who will focus on specific areas of town, who'll focus specifically on New Orleans East, a team of people who will wake up every morning and say, what can be done for New Orleans East to retain businesses and also recruit new businesses and get the right level of retail? A team of experts within the Economic Development Department who will say, what can we do to support our entrepreneurs? Because if we really want to diversify our economy, it's about supporting our young entrepreneurs and new ideas in a city. That's how other cities were able to diversify their economies. We can do the same here. And my Economic Development Department will support our small businesses, because that's what we hear all the time. That small businesses, who are the real soul and core of our city, who are our working families, they are the ones who are being left out, and they get no help from City Hall. But that'll change when I'm mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next question will be asked by the United Way of Southeast Louisiana Young Leaders United, and this one will be for Judge Hunter and Councilmember Thomas.
Good evening, everyone, and good evening, candidates. My name is Jerron Tatum. I'm the Executive Director of Teach for America Greater New Orleans. But tonight, my capacity is actually as a steering committee member of Young Leaders United, which brings young professionals closer to the work of United Way here in Southeast Louisiana. And so my question to you tonight is specifically about public safety. And so what is your vision for balancing public safety with investments in mental health, investments in substance use, treatment, and community-based alternatives to incarceration?
That's for me?
Yes. Judge Hunter.
We need a public safety plan, which includes the New Orleans Police Department, which means New Orleans Police Department has to be professional, confident, and involved in community policing. Criminal District Court, 2-lane and broad. The people who go there should be on 2 tracks. Those people with nonviolent offenses, they should be on the tracks of services and treatment, getting your high set, career training. For the serious crimes, I have to make sure as New Orleans, as your next mayor, I have to make sure that New Orleans police officer has an investigation that's based on facts, evidence, and law. And then you go to juvenile court, our kids, when they get into the system. We can't just deal with what they did, we have to find out why they did it. Because if we find out why they did it, then we're going to be on the path to reducing juvenile crime. And when you reduce juvenile crime, you reduce adult crime. The 4th thing is what I call neighborhoods, safe neighborhood, which means, Lord, putting our kids on the path to making sure they're well-rounded, they're healthy, and teaching them skills that will put money in their pockets. But also going into that kid's house as well. And going to that kid's house means what's going on with mom, if mom is there, or if mom is working 2 shifts. The other thing is the school system, our public school system. We have to work with our public school system. We have to make sure our public schools are at the very least producing children that can read at grade level. Because once you get the neighborhood safe, it won't matter if we have 1,800 cops or 800 cops. That's where it starts. And I always say this, if you save one person, you can save a family. When you save the family, you save the neighborhood. And when you save the neighborhood, you save the city, one person at a time. And that's where it starts, making that neighborhood safe, making sure we do what we need to do at juvenile court for those kids who come into the system and their families, and at criminal district court for those thousands of people going through there. And most of the people who go to criminal district court are for minor felonies. Minor felonies. That's what it is. And having a police department that's responsive, that's professional, that's confident, and is involved in community policing. All of those have to work together. And I can say I'm probably the only one up here who has seen all of that. and see the connection between all of that. And you have to do all of that at the same time. You have to do it at the same time. You can't focus on one and not the other. So once we approach that comprehensively, holistically, with the right plan and the right people leading, we will become a safe city.
Thank you. Councilmember Thomas?
This issue right here is probably at the heart of the root of my plan. If you read my plan at otforus.com, I talk about mentoring, investing in disparate communities, the after-school program that I sponsor at Aaron. But you have to really be a student of the history of this community, especially when you talk about violence and delivery of services. First, I want to thank the United Way. It took a year and a half of conversations with your board and Tim to finally get the United Way Prosperity Center on the corner of Crowder and Morrison. It's made a difference. The outreach that we do, my work with peacekeepers and mediators, and mentoring the after-school, they made a difference. But historically, when you talk about violence, when you study the history of this city, in 1910, we were famous because Irish and Italian immigrants were slaughtering each other. Those of us who are around will remember the 17 years of 300 and 400 murders. Some people will give Chief Pennington the credit, and rightfully so, and the Mayoral administration what they did. But there were other components that were involved, and I think we forget those components. The YMCA's literacy program. Why? Because you would have to know that 69% of violent juvenile offenders are functionally illiterate. Here in New Orleans, while folk focus on kids graduating from high school, we have an inordinate number of kids that they don't wait to high school to drop out. They drop out after the 6th grade. And so when you talk about public service agencies and nonprofits, you're probably going to hear this for the first time. Something extremely different happened after Katrina. Those of us who are familiar with public housing and government systems, how they work, remember Hope 6. I want to reconfigure public housing, mixed use. Well, after Katrina, what happened was it was a demographic shift. And so think about this. The big 6 housing developments downtown were reconfigured. There were only 2 places that could absorb that population: the apartment complexes in New Orleans East and the ones in Algiers. But what did not happen? The demographic was displaced, but every entity who serviced them stayed downtown. So as mayor, I'm going to say, hold on a second. Your service population that you get grant money for and millions of dollars for, they may be 7 miles away, but you need to have an office at least 6.5 miles away so they can access you. So at some point, we need to take a look at where these demographics are, where disparate communities are, and how we work with nonprofits and service agencies so that they don't have to have a 2.5-hour bus ride, or if they have a car, get someplace that's being paid to service them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Our next question will be asked by the Urban League of Louisiana Young Professionals, and it will be addressed to Councilmember Thomas and then Senator Duplessis.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Krista Hooker. I'm the president of the Urban League of Louisiana Young Professionals. We are a vital auxiliary of the Urban League of Louisiana, and we focus on, and there's 3 different centers of excellence, focusing on workplace and economic development, education, youth development, and policy and social justice. And tonight's question, candidates, are given national tensions around race, gender, and LGBTQ plus rights, what specific policies and public accountability tools will you implement to ensure that city budgeting, contracting, and public safety decisions are equitable for all communities in the city of New Orleans?
Thank you for the question. One of the things that I really don't like, especially as someone who was one of the coordinators of the city's first domestic partnership, is that all people matter. And whenever you start to divide people, especially around race, gender, class, or religion, you create an atmosphere that we see permeating itself in Washington, D.C., and in some cases in Baton Rouge and too many state capitals. That has to stop. Now, I said my plan said a city that works for everyone, but people have asked me all along the way that, you're mayor, do I have a seat at the table? Well, guess what? If you have built the table, you don't have to worry about a seat at the table. That's your table. So I'm going to be the kind of mayor where we don't discriminate against each other. Because, you know, I've said this time and time again, especially given my life and a lot of the work that I do with disparaged communities and ex-offenders. God didn't make any throwaway people. Not at all. And I saw someone clapping for that. But we live in a society now where we either live by the who matters based on their value, their social class, how much money they have. And I will never be part of practicing democracy by subtraction, because too many people have figured out, whether it's economically or socially, how many people we can disparage, how many people we can hurt, and how many people we can take advantage of so that we can be in a better position. That is extremely dangerous. And as a historian, you have to understand 17th century France. And when I say democracy by subtraction, think about this. Taxation without representation. If you're living in a society where they're accepting your taxes, and you still can't get basic services, and you still can't participate, at some point those numbers grow outside of the system. And as those numbers grow outside of the system, people who may not even have common interests begin to look at the system as an enemy. And I'm afraid, at this time in this moment in history, this is the most critical moment. And groups like this, and entities like this, instead of highlighting your differences, like the senator said earlier, the reason why I offered in the public letter that was in the Tribune in the paper when I wanted a retreat between the city council and the mayor, is I thought that we should all get in a room. Stop airing all of these fights publicly. Stop leading with bitter discussions, and show people that my city is so important. I don't care if you don't like me. I don't care if you won't vote for me, but I'm willing to work with you to make a better New Orleans.
Thank you. Senator DePlessis.
So I think that question really speaks to my values and what has driven me into public service. You know, I talked about my upbringing, my parents, and I've always had a belief that while we may not all have an equal start in life, everybody deserves a fair opportunity. Everybody deserves to be treated with dignity and respect and have a fair shot at a healthy, successful life. So if you just look at the work that I've done in the legislature, the legislation that I've pushed for and the legislation that I've pushed against, anybody that's been to the state capitol lately, I mean, look, there's some pretty hostile stuff coming out of there, attacking women, attacking the LGBTQ community, attacking people of color. And I've always stood in fierce opposition of anything that goes after groups of people that have historically been marginalized. It's something that I will never stand for. And we have to be vocal about it. And I've said in committee, I've said on the record that the truth of the matter is New Orleans is still a city where the disparities are too great. The disparities are simply too great. And while we are a progressive city, while we are not necessarily a conservative city, we are a welcoming city, the disparities are still great. So we have to always keep equity at the forefront. And that there are people that continue to be left behind, from the minority community, the black and brown community, our LGBTQ community. And I'm grateful to always have had the support of organizations like Forum for Equality and work in partnership, whether we have to work to push a policy or to push against a policy. And I think it's just a fundamental core value that we all have to agree upon. So whatever the issue is, whether we're talking economics or whether we're talking social justice or whether we're talking healthcare, equity is at the root of what guides my decision making. Inclusivity is at the root of what guides my style of leadership. And I've just never been a believer that your win is my loss. or that someone else's gain is some kind of way negatively impacting me. But unfortunately, there are those in society that still believe that. I was taught that you light my candle, or if I light your candle, we got two candles that are lit. And a rising tide truly lifts all boats. So I see myself as a stone catcher in many ways. So, I do the unpopular stuff in Baton Rouge, and I do the unpopular stuff in all of my work in trying to defend those groups who've been historically marginalized, because that's the kind of leadership that we need. And again, it's not always popular, whether it's working with people who are reintegrating into society, helping them get back to work, helping them with the expungement process. All of these things where people have been mistreated and casted aside is at the core of equitable policies that I am about promoting, and that will be a part of my administration.
Thank you so much. All right. Our next question will be asked by the Youth Empowerment Project for Councilmember Moreno and then Judge Hunter.
Good evening. Shabri Jones from Youth Empowerment Project, Director of Programs. You're familiar with YEP's proven track record, providing mentoring, adult education, employment readiness, and enrichment programs for nearly 1,000 young people annually. At YEP, we believe that the long-term solution to public safety begins with meaningful investments in youth and their families. If elected mayor, what specific policies and investments would you prioritize to make New Orleans safer through the lens of prevention, investing in strategies specific to youth development, and bringing effective youth programs to scale?
Thank you. First, thank you to the Youth Empowerment Project. Melissa, thank you for your leadership of YEP. It is a tremendous organization that is truly changing lives. And it's actually because of organizations like YEP that the New Orleans City Council created the Culture Fund, the Youth and Culture Fund. And the Youth and Culture Fund, what it is it invests $7 million every year to nonprofits like YEP, Son of a Saint, Roots of Music, and I can go on, that are doing amazing work on the ground. And the reason why the City Council decided to move this forward is we started to see the city try to create its own programs. When we already knew that there were amazing nonprofits who were doing great work, but if we could just boost them a little bit more, they could do even more amazing, great work. So one is continuing to support the City Council's Culture Fund, Youth and Culture Fund, because that's critically important. Number two, totally revamp Nord. Let's boost it up. There was this plan called the Big Green Easy Plan, okay? The city spent all this money to put together this really amazing plan. These third-party consultants came in and said, this is what needs to be done to really boost Nord and really create many more opportunities for our youth in particular. But guess what? None of it was implemented. None of it was implemented. So I look forward to implementing this plan. And part of that plan, what it is taking a look at all of our facilities, all of our community centers, all of our fields, and figuring out exactly what needs to be done to really make them amazing places for kids. And right now, we don't even have a cost estimate on what it would really take to make these fields and community centers what we would all want them to be. At the same time, let's do whatever possible to create as many opportunities within Nord, and whatever possible that we can do, particularly after school, whether it's esports or whether it's more arts and culture type of experiences, particularly for our girls. I hear this all the time, and that's one of the reasons why I actually started a girls leadership program, myself and Councilwoman Leslie Harris, because the City Council would have so many youth roundtables, and so often the girls said, well, what about us? What about us? So leadership types of discussions with our girls also so important. But then this, one of the things that I really leaned in on because I thought it was so important is I boosted the summer jobs program from 250 slots to over 2,000 slots. As mayor, I would do that again to boost it to 5,000 slots. Because giving our young people the opportunities to have internships, to see what they could be, to look up to different professionals and say, that is what I could be one day. That's what opens eyes, but more than anything, opens new pathways to success. Thank you.
Thank you. And Judge Hunter?
This is what I'm doing. Ron Bechet and I co-founded the Young Artist Movement, in which we have our kids pair with established artists, teaching them the skills of art, but also the business of art. And so our kids have painted murals across the city, and our kids get paid $15 an hour. But I don't know if you noticed, there's a mural off the interstate that's on the jail wall. Our kids did that mural. And you know who I got to pay for that mural? Apple. I brought Apple to the table. So they are now investing in our kids and our artists for the last 3 years, close to $1 million. It's doing the work. And I also started a mock trial program for kids, pairing high school students with lawyers, teaching them how to try a case in court before a judge and a jury. So now, that quiet, shy kid is now speaking in a courtroom, representing somebody or prosecuting somebody, wanting to be a future lawyer, a future doctor, or a future judge. That's doing the work. But with NORD, we need to do NORD differently. I mean, I played NORD football. We practiced 5 days a week, and we had our games on Saturdays. We can't do that anymore. We need a NORD in which you do 3 days of sports, but you also do your homework first. Those other 3 days, we need to teach our kids how to respect themselves, respect other people. We need to improve their academic skills, not what they went over in school that day, but their basic academic skills, and expose them to art, music, STEM, and other activities. And we need to bring the churches involved, use the school buildings in the evening time, the NORD facilities as well. But we also need to bring the medical community because our kids need to be healthy. And so part of that would be an assessment of our children, if they need glasses, if they have a hearing issue, if they have a learning disability, if they need to see a dentist. But not just give them a piece of paper and say, look, take this home to mama, because mama may not be there, or mama's working 2 shifts. But look, mom, this is what we found. But you know what? You may need glasses. You may have a hearing issue. You may have a learning disability. You may want to get your high set. You may want to start career training. So if we can get that mom in one classroom and that child in another classroom, now you're going to impact that family. And you're going to make a difference in that neighborhood. That's what we need to do. Do that hard work. And that's how we're going to become a safe neighborhood. That's how we're going to have children who will grow up and put them on a path to success and not take that pipeline to Angola or early grave. That's what we need to do.
Thank you. All right. We have made it to our final question. And so this last question will be asked by the Young Leadership Council for all 4 candidates. So we'll start with Councilmember Thomas, Councilmember Moreno, Judge Hunter, and then Senator Duplessis.
Good evening. My name is Erica Sensenbrenner. I'm the president-elect of the Young Leadership Council. YLC's mission is to create development opportunities for young professionals through community service projects with the ultimate goal of retaining young professionals and the future leaders of our city. What is your pitch to young professionals for staying and investing in New Orleans?
Councilmember Thomas.
First of all, we can't have a New Orleans without young people or young professionals. The one thing in my campaign consultants told me, shouldn't talk about awards and stuff that I want, but one of them are mentoring awards and working with kids, making sure that young folk had an opportunity in politics, had an opportunity in business. Most of the young folk who work for me, there are a few of them that are notable that many of you guys know. They either got elected or they started their own business. So I've never tried to be the uncle like Royce calls me sometimes, or the person who had been around, even though I was out of office for 14 years, guys, that puts a thumb on our young people. What I've tried to do is give them freedom. There are actually some young folk that I've worked with and mentored that have said, look, if you're still around me 3 or 4 years from now, you haven't taken advantage of the relationships. But that's a very important question, right? Because at some point, our young developers, our young business folk, and those who want to be entrepreneurs, we have to partner with them so that we can create an economic foundation in this community that builds our entrepreneur class and grows our middle class. So we forget about some of the real data that deals with crime, public safety, and social services in this community. if African-American women, and we laud African-American women for startup, but we don't look at the fine print that says 6 months later they don't have the resources to stay up. So I'm bragging about startup, but 6 months later you can't stay up. We talk about women and closing the gender gap. African-American women, which is a dominant population in New Orleans, make 49 cents on a dollar. African-American men, 70%. Black children are poorer post-Katrina than they were pre-Katrina. A third of our population still lives at or below the poverty level. So when you want to talk about a safe city, economic city, planning for our young professionals, no matter what culture, race, or group you come from, if you're not included in that planning, if you're not at the table, or if it's not your table, crime is going to pop off again. We're going to keep having problems with home ownership. And no matter what our education system says and what our state says about improving, if we're still 49th in the well-being of children and 46th or 47th in education, you can't brag about that, right? You can't brag because we've been there before. So in Oliver Thomas' administration, I mean, I'm not the only one standing at the podium. You got people in this audience standing at the podium, advising me. I have a young man working with me right now who the criminal justice system tried to throw him away. Guess who he works for now? Because I understand that. I understand what it means to make a mistake and come back. I understand of coming and living in a community where they're taught too many of our people were throwaway people. No, young developers, young business people, y'all not at the table, y'all building a new table.
Thank you. Councilmember Moreno.
So my pitch to keep young professionals in the city would be, first, you live in one of the most amazing cities, not just in the country, but in the world. It's a gorgeous, beautiful city, and I know that every single person in here, we love our city. And yes, it is a bit broken right now, but my pitch is, you're about to have a new mayor who's going to fix the problems that we have here in our city, and I'm going to make sure that we get the basic services that you deserve. I'll make sure we finally have a streets plan so that we have smooth streets and you're not busting up your car on the way to work. I'll make sure that we finally have traffic lights that aren't broken every time you're trying to get to work and end up being late because you're one stop sign after the next, and then when you try to take a different route, you get stuck in a never-ending construction project. I'll make sure we finally get the city services that work because I know the plan to do it. I actually have a solution, and we've seen it happen. We see it happen when we have big events in town. When Super Bowl came to town, at the directive of the mayor, months leading into it, she made sure all city departments got together with our outside stakeholders like Entergy, the state of Louisiana, GNO Inc., you name it, to troubleshoot all of the city's biggest problems. We got Poydras done in like a few weeks. And so it can happen, and I will bring that level of urgency, that level of coordination and collaboration, not just when Taylor Swift and Super Bowl's coming, but all the time, because that's what the people of New Orleans deserve. And so that is what young entrepreneurs, what young professionals here in our city will soon be getting. Because within my first 100 days, I will work tenaciously with my team to start that process to get it done, along with fixing our broken departments like safety and permits. We know what's broken. The city council has come up with all types of recommendations. Some of you all have been part of that work. Different task forces have said this is what needs to be done to fix safety and permits, and it hasn't been done, but it can be done. We're seeing other parishes fix their broken departments. We can do it too. A lot of this, is just about leadership. It's just about having the right leader who's going to act in a transparent way, who's going to hold people accountable, and who's going to get the job done. And those of you all who know me in this group and have worked with me, whether it was back when I was a reporter, to when I was in the legislature, to when I was on the city council, that I stop at nothing to get the job done. And so for all of you all who are thinking maybe I shouldn't stay in New Orleans, maybe I should leave to go someplace else, I say to all of you, just give me a shot, and I will not disappoint. Thank you.
Thank you. Judge Hunter.
I want to hire you guys for city government. I don't care what your race, your gender, who you love, what you call yourself. If you could trace your family tree back to Bienville or Galvez, or if you've only been here for 30 days, if you're qualified, I want you. I want you to work in city government. And if you're an entrepreneur, I want to make sure you make as much money as you can, because I need the tax revenue to fix those streets. And I want you to be a taxpayer for New Orleans, not Austin, Atlanta, or Houston. That's what I want. It's that simple. And I need you guys to tell me what I need to do. Tell me. Because I don't know it all. So I need your ideas, your ingenuity, your innovation. And if you could put a city tax on it, even more so. So I need you guys. As much as I need you, you need me too. Especially if you want to make this our home. Because look, we have the music, we have the culture, we have the Mardi Gras, we have the Black Mexican Indians, we have all of that. But what do we have down the street and around the corner? The crime, lack of economic opportunity, lack of education. And we're not taking care of business. And when we try to take care of business, it's based on what? Who you know, not what you know. That's what we have to be different. That's the change. That's the change that we all want. So don't leave. I need you. We need you. And you need us. Because I know you want to succeed here in New Orleans. Because if we do it the right way, with the right people and the right reasons, we would be better than Atlanta and Houston. You know why? They don't have the soul that we have. They don't have it. But we first have to take care of business. That's what we have to do. The right way, the right reasons, with the right people.
Thank you. And Senator DePlessis.
Again, I want to thank YLC, and I think about the organization and how it came to be. Some may know the history, but it's my understanding that the Young Leadership Council came to be when there was a group that got together and decided they wanted to put lights on the Crescent City connection. And we've benefited as a city and as a region because of what that symbolizes for our city. That was leadership, even if the organization had not been formalized. I don't know if I'm the youngest person in the race. I think Ricky might be younger than me, but I'm certainly the youngest person on this panel. And I am a young professional. Yeah. It's all right, Judge. It's all right. It's all right. It's okay. But I am a young professional. We sing from the same chorus, okay? I lived in Washington, D.C. for several years. My wife lived in Washington, D.C. for several years. We decided we wanted to raise our daughter in this place because we love it. We had a decision to make, and every young professional has a decision to make, and that decision is, are you going to be part of changing the narrative? Are you going to wait your turn is the question you have to ask yourself. And I'm asking you, my pitch to you is to believe in me in this campaign, because you better believe when I started putting the idea out there, I was getting encouragement about running for mayor. You know what they told me? They said I should wait my turn. That's why the theme of my campaign is New Orleans can't wait. Because the needs that we have today are too pressing. New Orleans can't wait. This is our time. And that's what young leadership is about. You can't wait for the people who've been there to tell you wait your turn. You can't wait for the people who've been there, who've been doing it, to say, give us a little more time and I'll be ready when I get there. No, leadership is about stepping up and taking action. And that's what New Orleans needs right now more than ever. So I'm asking you to join me. Join me, and we do it together. We're going to define the future of this city. We're going to write the narrative. We're going to write the script for our children, that we can have it. We can decide that New Orleans can be the city that we know it all can be, that it can be. A city where we can have the charm, the culture, the fun, the festivals, the food, and all the beauty. But we can also be a city that functions, a city that has prosperity and economic opportunity. We can have it. It's up to us right here in this room. And I'm asking you to join me. That's my pitch to the young professionals.
Thank you so much. Right. So thank you all so much for your thoughtful answers to all the questions. And we are going to give you a couple more minutes just to address any topics that maybe you didn't get to answer one of the questions, or just to give your final message that you would like to leave with the audience. So Councilmember Moreno, can we start with you, please?
Once again, thank you so much for having all of us today. I really appreciate, like I said, bringing all of these different groups together, groups that I've worked with for so long. And we all know that right now, look, the city of New Orleans is really at a tipping point. And who the next mayor is going to be that determining factor on whether or not people can actually really stay and live in this city. And I take that so seriously and deeply when I hear people tell me that. Because I've already had, and we've already had, friends and family not be able to stay here because it is just too hard to live here in the city of New Orleans. And so we need a mayor who on day one can get in there and start taking us in a whole new direction. Many of you all in this room have known me for quite some time, and you know that I've always fought for the people of this city. From my time when I was just a young journalist at WDSU, and I think at the time I was making like $27,000 a year. I thought I was rolling, right? And you know, I worked my way up to what I thought was at the time my dream job. I was an investigative reporter, and I was a news anchor, and that was my dream. And then Hurricane Katrina hit. Hurricane Katrina hit, and that changed my life like I know it changed many of your lives, or maybe your parents' lives. And I wanted to then get into a life of public service, which is when I got into the Louisiana legislature. And in the Louisiana legislature, yeah, no doubt about it, I mean, I had some tough battles up there because I always fought for the people. And there were pieces of legislation that people thought would never be able to get passed, protecting women, protecting victims of domestic violence, protecting victims of sexual assault that people thought were impossible. But I got those done because I built coalitions, I got those things done. And then on the city council, yeah, no doubt about it, there's been some tough fights, and yeah, we've definitely tried to all get in a room and work it out, but sometimes when you're fighting for the people, you can't get into a room and work it out. You have to fight for the people until you get the job done for the people of this city. And that is what I have always done, and I'll continue to do, because as mayor, let me tell you, what's happening in the federal side, what's happening in the state, it's not so much about trying to work with everyone, it's about protecting New Orleans. And what I promise that I will always do for you is protect New Orleans, protect the people of New Orleans, fight for you, and make sure we have a city that works for everyone. Thank you all.
Judge Hunter, would you like to go next? Judge Hunter, would you like to go next?
Sure.
Just trying to keep y'all on your toes, you know? So.
Not a problem. I can tell you what I've done and how I changed people's lives and saved people's lives. How, because of what I've done, people are working. Because of what I've done, people are receiving, treatment for mental health and drug addiction issues. People have a better education. Children have been inspired to become artists, future lawyers, and judges. So as much as it goes toward what kind of mayor you want to have, which I believe you want a mayor that's going to listen to what you have to say, be honest and truthful with you in the answers, hire qualified people, hold people accountable, and not be afraid to make tough decisions and do the right thing. Basic, fundamental. That's what you want. A mayor is going to make sure your streets are fixed the first time the right way. Make sure your garbage is picked up twice a week. Make sure that you're safe, but you feel safe. Make sure you're able to afford to live in New Orleans. Make sure if you have a business that City Hall is a partner with you. Those basic fundamental things. That's what you want from a mayor. But you also want a mayor that sets the tone for the city. That's what a mayor does. The mayor sets the tone, sets the narrative. And that goes to the kind of person that mayor is. That's what it goes to. And if you are that person with that character, with that integrity, with wanting to do the right thing, again, setting that tone. And it doesn't matter what side of City Hall on the second floor you want to be, council side or the mayor's side. It's about what you have done in the community, what you have done while you were in office. That's what it comes down to. What have you done? And what are you doing? That's what it comes down to. And I believe that's the kind of mayor you want. That's the kind of mayor you want. Someone you can trust. Someone you know is going to do the right thing. Someone who's not going to be afraid to make those major decisions. That's what you want. Look, I'm different. I'm different. But if you're looking for change that's going to make a difference in people's lives, if you're looking to get away from the same old, if you're looking for somebody who's going to do the work and bring the right people to the table, then I'm asking for your support. I'm Judge Arthur Hunter, and I'm running for mayor of New Orleans.
Thank you. Senator DuPlessis.
Thank you all again. This has been an incredible honor to be here. Again, as a product of this community, I've had just about every job you can have. I've been a bricklayer's assistant. I've bussed tables at Mandina's. I've worked at a global law firm. I've run a small business. I've been in government. I served as chairman of the New Orleans City Planning Commission. I've kind of done it all, seen it all, and I've been very blessed throughout my life. But the greatest blessing is being Crystal's husband and Reese's dad. That's an incredible blessing that when I think about our existence in the city of New Orleans, that's what motivates me and that's what fuels me. And I just have a different vision for what we can be versus where we are today. I think about where we are being 20 years removed from Hurricane Katrina and where we were as a city post-Katrina and the decisions that we had to make. Who was going to write the story? Were we going to go backwards or were we going to go forward? I think we're in a similar scenario right now. We're trying to decide who we are, what's going to be our identity. Are we going to be great or are we just going to keep playing small ball? Are we going to keep doing politics with the lowercase p, right? Or are we going to change the game, right? We need transformational leadership right now. We need a no-drama mayor who's focused on doing the work. Look at my record. Look at what I've done. I didn't just show up. I've been at this for 2 decades now, and I love public service. I love public service because I love people, and that's what's been my driving force. And I'm here to serve you. I'm here to serve this community. I'm here to serve this region. And we have a shared vision, and that shared vision is bringing people together, using innovative ideas to bring about change in this community. That's what we need more than anything. People who can rise above the fray, rise above the nonsense and the reality TV show drama that we've been inundated with. That's not New Orleans. That's not who we are. And we don't have to choose that. We can choose better. We deserve better. Affordability, economic opportunity, crime reduction, and making City Hall work. Those are the 4 tenets of my campaign. And those are the four things that I will be laser focused on, and I will give you everything that I have if you give me the opportunity to be your mayor. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Okay. Councilmember Thomas.
First of all, thank you guys for this opportunity. My plan talks about how do we restore faith and trust in city services. If you're paying for 2-a-day garbage pickup, you would at least like to know that you can depend on the 1 day. And if it doesn't come the 1 day, you would like to know that you don't have to wait for the next week, that at least it's done in 48 hours. If we have potholes that are blocking property that realtors want to sell, then it would be nice to know that we can immediately come out and fix that pothole so that land is more valuable than it was. You want to know that you have a police force, that if you call, you don't have to wait a day or 2 for someone to come out and service you. You want to know that charter-related services work if you don't care about who's elected or who's in a position, you want to know that if you call City Hall, someone doesn't say what you want, but how can I help you? And they're proud of that. You want to know that if you call 911, that anything over 10 seconds could mean life or death. You want to know that when you pay your taxes, you get respect. You want to know that as a citizen, that it's not about the title of the person that they wear, but it's how we respect you and how we honor you and how we work for you. And also you want to know that leaders are not trying to divide us around class or race. And I'm going to finish with this because this is important. With wisdom and knowledge, some folk might call you sage. In a city that works, it doesn't matter your age. We're in a huddle, and there's a play we're about to call. In a city that works, it benefits us all. So as we get together to talk about the new city we want to see, make sure we're not excluding anybody who wants to be. Count it and appreciate it like they matter in this place, because New Orleans is one of the best, with all of us, a great place. Love y'all.
Thank you so much. So I would really like to thank all of you for coming tonight. I want to invite you all to find out more about the Young Leadership Council by going to ylcnola.org, where you can find out about our activities, membership, specifically our leadership development series that is a class in the fall where you can learn how you can help do your part for the city. Thank you to our partner organizations, and thank you so much to the candidates for your service, your support. Thank you for being here. Thank y'all.